And welcome to the Artichoke, everybody. All right. It has been a minute. We had quite a nice summer hiatus. I think, as Anna was alluding, I went all over the place. But I want to tell you about where I went 2 weeks ago. Let's see. I've been kind of an avid hiker for the past several years, and I wanted to go on a cheapy hiking trip at the end of the summer, just to just be in nature and sort of go over some of the stories I've been working on in my head and just sort of be alone. So I decided to hike the West Coast Trail. I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but it's on Vancouver Island, just north of Washington State, and it's on a lot of hikers' bucket lists, I've never done any backpacking before. Now, backpacking is exactly what it says. Everything's on your back. You're hiking, I was hiking for 6 days, and I have a 45-pound pack. It's a 45-pound pack, and I'm going 45 miles. Now, 45 pounds is a cinder block and a half, just to put it in perspective. So I had no idea what I was getting into, and it was 10 times harder than I ever imagined. But before I went to Canada, I don't know how your friends are, but my friends immediately started making fun of Canadians. They're like, hey, maybe you'll meet a nice girl and she'll, take you back to her house, and show you her, denim underpants or, whatever. We'd have a lot of laughs about it. But what I didn't expect was for the Canadians to do it right back at me, man. So I fly to Victoria Airport in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I go through customs, and the guy is looking at my passport, and he goes, "Oh, you're from New York," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from New York," and he goes, "You don't sound like a New Yorker," and I was like, I moved there when I was 18, and I've just been there for 30 years. And he's like, "Well, did you bring any meat or vegetables into the country?" And I said, "Well, I have a backpack full of dehydrated food. Do you need to, check that?" And he looks at me and he says, "Forget about it." So the next day I have orientation, because everybody who goes on this trail has to go through orientation. They have to teach you about, because you're hiking up the coastline, they have to teach you about tide tables. But the thing they really get it hard on about is bears. They got to, you sit through an hour video about bears. Bears are everywhere on this trail. They tell you what to do when you encounter a bear. And now these are black bears, which we have around here, and they can be pretty skittish. So they're you got to make a lot of noise when you're walking on the trail. If you see a bear, you gotta make yourself as tall as possible. Don't make direct eye contact with it. Just back away slowly and make noise. And if a grizzly bear comes at you, you just die. You just die. That's what you do. So they look at me and they go, and keep an eye out for New York here, because he's a solo hiker, and bears aren't going to hear me coming because I'm not talking to anybody, So we begin the hike. I begin the hike, and I'm by myself, and I am walking on this beautiful inland trail. And I'm listening to birds chirping, and I can hear the waves crashing on the rocks, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get all this, all these stories worked out in my head. And in the first hour, I slip in the mud, and I hyperextend my knee, and I jam my finger, and I'm just freaking out, and my finger starts inflating, like it's auditioning for Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, which okay, it's an obscure reference, but I'm a lazy writer, and then I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I start walking, and I, dragging my knee behind me, and my brain goes, hey man, instead of those stories you're going to work on, I made a whole playlist of the most traumatic moments from your last relationship. And I was like, well, I don't want that. And my brain's like, well, I'm driving, I get to pick the entertainment. That's basically my 6 days. But at the end of every day, it's agony. I'm hiking through mud or deep sand, and at the end of every day, I'm just miserable. At the end of every day, there's a campsite on the beach. People are running around in bikinis and smoking joints, and the seals are playing in the surf, and it's just breathtaking. So I forget about how much in pain I'm in at the end of every day. But of course, the day resumes the next day, and I'm lugging this 45-pound, backpack through the mud in the forest, just saying, "Fuck Canada, fuck the park," just so angry. And I keep running into these these signs saying, bear in the area. So because I'm not talking to anybody, I just start banging my poles together and singing LL Cool J's "Mama Said Knock You Out" until I run into another human being. That's what I did for 6 days. But the cool thing is, like, at the end of the day, you meet the same people at all the campsites along the trail, and I'm the slowest person on the trail, and every time I'd like limp into the, somebody would go like, "Hey, New York made it, hey," and I made it, and we'd be eating these dehydrated, rehydrated meals, and every now and then this Canadian guy would walk by and he'd be like, "Second Avenue Deli, best matzo ball soup in the world," and I'm like, that's something we like in New York, yeah. And people kept saying, "You're so polite for a New Yorker," it's just. But finally, the last day of the hike, I get up before everybody else. My bus is coming to pick me up to take me to the airport at 1 p.m. So I get an early start, and there are 12 kilometers. I don't know how long a kilometer is, but there's 12 of these motherfuckers. and I start hiking, and I get spooked right away because I hear what sounds like dogs like having a fight, like snarling dogs, and I'm like, "Oh, great, just what I need." It turns out they're sea lions. They just sound like pit bull, like a pit bull fight, and I'm just like dragging myself like these last 12 kilometers, and I get to kilometer 9, and I'm just like, "Oh man, I've been drinking Cafe Bustelo Instant for a week," which is worse than it sounds. And I'm like, I know at the end of this trail, man, there's a cup of coffee, like a real cup of coffee with milk in it, with actual milk in it, and a shower. I haven't showered in 6 days. Like, I can't wait. So I'm at kilometer post 9, and about 30 feet off the trail, it's these leaves start rustling, and I hear. And I go, "Fuck, there's a bear." And it's a big bear, and it's giving me a warning because it probably has its cubs with it. And I gotta catch my bus, and I want my goddamn coffee. So I pick up my poles, and I start banging them together. And I swear to you, I didn't realize what I was saying until at least 30 seconds later, but I just start walking down the trail, going, "Bear be damned," and I start saying, "I am walking here! I am walking here! I am walking here!" And I do it for at least half a mile, and I'm looking over my shoulder to make sure this bear isn't stalking me. So I guess I'm a bit of a New Yorker after all. And I got my goddamn shower. It's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you tonight, man.